Whenever you're ready.
Oh my God.
Jessica! I've never been called a fox!
Dana.
That's a classy name for a Harry.
I like it classic.
Okay.
Do you?
Welcome to the Rants and Raves podcast.
Sure.
Out with the bad and in with the good, motherfuckers.
That's right.
Jessica!
Oh, this is already
Already.
hilarious. Pardon our delays. You guys can just think of it as dramatic pauses as we record.
I said Jessica, and the computer froze immediately, which we had issues with a few minutes ago, but we thought we were past it. I don't know. I have to say, before I get into our regular welcome to the Rants and Raves, I do want to say real quick, sorry, 5G, you drop out. You do. You're not magic, 5G. You're not magic.
Think the 5G is worse than the regular network. That's what is constantly dropping.
It depends on where I am. Now, there's a war right now between T-Mobile and some Verizon, maybe saying one of them says they have better 5G than the other. I don't know if I believe them. I think they all lie.
They do lie.
Lie. Okay, here we go. Jessica.
Dana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. Welcome to the Rants and Raves podcast. I am Dana Powell.
I am Jessica Young, and we are, here to
Rant and Rave. What a chaotic mess. Nobody expects much more than that from us.
Hilarious. That is hilarious.
Jessica, how was your week?
It was really, really lovely. I went to Yosemite, my yearly trek to Yosemite for Camp Improv Utopia.
Yeah.
And I had an absolute blast. Oh my God. Again, we've talked about this so many times, whether it's your local little park or area, or you can get out to a national or state park. You guys get out into some nature to get some fresh air and just realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel as far as finding some sort of joy in this hot mess. And me, I found it through a very difficult and strenuous but very rewarding hike through the valley of Yosemite National Park.
Well, couple things. I'm gonna pass because I don't like hard and hot. Well, let me think about that. I don't want to walk hard and hot. How about that?
Okay, sure.
And then also probably bugs. I need luxury.
Okay, sure. Well, to put your mind at ease, we were not intense. Even though I always dream of that, I'm like, there's a lot of bears in that area. I think I'm cool thinking the tent camping would be fun and just sticking with a cabin where you have a real working toilet and shower too.
Yeah, those are things I need. And also I've listened to too much Let's Not Meet to maybe ever camp again in my life.
I know.
People wander up to campsites. Yeah, no.
No.
But also, then that leads me to
a camp, an actual camp that we
good because also I have been saying for several years, and now it's coming out into the public zeitgeist. I guess people are disappearing from our national parks like crazy.
Well, you are taking my beautiful experience and turning it into a true crime story.
I'm sorry, that's just what I do. But I'm sorry. But Gabby,
it's been in the news a lot. Not just with her, but go on.
It should have been in the news for everyone. So people are pretty upset right now because they're not wrong. Young white people are in the news for missing more often than not. But what I would say is the blessing in disguise we need to take from it is that people are noticing now, because I actually have heard that for years, probably because I do listen to so much true crime, but that people are disappearing from national parks at an alarming rate. And the disappearance of Indigenous women has been a massive problem. And they're right. Nobody's been talking about it, but nobody's been
Right.
talking about any of the disappearances till now, which I'm
Yes.
glad we're on it, because some people think it's everything from cryptids to serial killers. Who knows what it is, but we got to figure it out. I know
Yep.
that. So
Yep.
anyway, basically I'm saying stop camping. I don't want you to get kidnapped or murdered.
Okay.
So there you go.
No, it's a good safety tip to know not to go alone. And that's just kind of in general. Like when I walk by myself, I walk through my neighborhood during daylight hours. I pass so many people walking their dogs, a lot of people walking their children in a stroller. I
Right.
feel lucky and fortunate that it feels very safe, and I'm
Yeah.
very aware, and I only go during daylight. Do not go out to a hike by yourself, male or female. I don't
No.
care how experienced or athletic you are. It's just not a good idea. Even not to be creepy, even if there's not some weirdo in the area, I always think about this. God forbid you fall, slip, get trapped, anything.
Yes.
You can be shit out of luck. And let me tell you something. I have 0 cell phone reception in Joshua Tree. I learned this year after
Mhm.
going there to hike a few times, and I
Mhm.
had 0 reception in Yosemite.
Mhm.
So there might be some exceptions. You might like literally for 1 second have a signal, and a message can then fly out of your phone then. But
Mhm.
by and large, if something happened, I could not call someone to come and
Right.
help me because there was no signal. So
Yeah. You know, it's a bummer. When I lived in Missouri, I used to go on hikes and stuff out in the
Mhm.
country. And, you know,
Yes.
even still, I would say to this day, out by my dad's property, I'll
Mhm.
walk down the farm roads as long as I'm off to the side and safe, because
Yep.
somebody will run over you in a heartbeat. But
Okay.
but as long as I can walk where it's safe, I'll go
Mhm.
for a walk. I'm not
Sure.
too concerned, although my
Hmm.
my family was talking about, my dad was like, "Boy, I found a house I want to buy." And we were like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I think you could fix it up real nice down here down the street on H, a little rock house." And my baby sister goes, "Dad, no, that's where they found that girl's body."
No.
And I was like, "What?"
What was it? Like a hovel? An abandoned hovel from
It
a
was an
Hobbit?
abandoned house where a man had kidnapped a young woman from used to be a get and go. I guess it's probably a come and go now. Over that by where I used to live. Like I know
No.
exactly where it is. He kidnapped her, killed her, and dumped her body in front of
Nope.
this house. And dad was like, "Well, I mean, yeah, but you know, he just dumped her there. He didn't kill her there. It's a shame." Not a shame that he didn't kill her there. I said that wrong. But basically,
Dear God.
he was saying like it was just a drop off kind of, and then like that made it any better. And she was like, "Dad, her family puts a memorial out there in front of the house every year. Like
Mhm.
people are gonna know." And
Gary, find another house. Find a new project.
and I said, mhm, and also a lot of people might think it's haunted. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying some people like
I think Gary needs to get back on the gyrocopter train.
Yeah, I think
Focus on his hobbies that he
we
knows.
deterred him from the dead body house. Yes. But I too was like, "What are you talking about? I didn't know he dumped her. I heard that story all the way out here. I didn't know he dumped her
Unreal.
by your house." Oh, awful.
Unreal.
Nightmare. Boy, this
Unreal.
has been a real positive and pleasant.
Oh yeah, real smooth ride. How was your week other than your father wanting to buy the house that Robin Williams developed photographs in 1 hour photo?
Photo. It was eventful. I had to do some advocating for my family and stand up against some people who are clearly doing wrong, but that it is their job to say they're not.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those situations where we were all like, "Yeah, we're ready to speak. We need to talk. We need to speak up. We need to speak up." And the
Mhm.
group of us involved went. And then Dana was the only one that opened her mouth for a long time,
Oh. Mhm.
which was very scary. But
Yes.
I did it. And I used, honestly, if I'm being real, I used a lot of my training as an actor
Good.
to get through that, like learning how to control my nerves, because it
Yep.
became very apparent that the person that was sent to talk to us was a politician and a spin person who
Mhm.
is trained and paid to put a
Mhm.
shiny spin on everything. And I'm just a mom who showed up at a last minute meeting to go, hey, this isn't right. So
Mhm.
that was, I mean, honestly terrifying. But I think I held my own. I think my training paid off when I started to waver. And the person I was speaking with, definitely used some tactics of manipulation to intimidate me.
Of course.
Um, Actually, I should share a couple of those so that we all know how to avoid it.
Do it.
One of the things that this person did was immediately start calling me by my first name. And because I
Mhm.
seemed to be vocal, he repeatedly called me by my first name and used me in an example. So he was like, so Dana, if you wanted to turn this in, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it catches you off guard when someone you don't know informally is calling you by your first name in a formal
Yes.
situation.
Mhm.
And
Instead of
that is
Miss Powell or something.
correct.
Mhm.
Correct. So I began repeatedly calling him Ramon by his first name.
Good. Instead of
Uh,
Mr. whatever his name
Correct.
was. Uh-huh.
Correct. Also, he started doing his spin thing and making apologies, and I just raised my hand and I said, all due respect, I appreciate you being here. The information that you're giving us right now, we all already have. We all already know. And honestly, your apologies don't really matter to me at this point. They're meaningless.
Ooh.
So, if you don't mind, I would like to use this time to address the questions that we have.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
said, okay, that's quite fine. And he said, would you like to start? And I said, I'm happy to, but I also know that I've spoken. If anyone else would like to speak up, silence. And
Yep.
he said, well, Dana, it looks like you're the leader. And I knew because that scared me, I was like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to frighten me
Sure.
because I'm not a paid representative
Yep.
to
And
do
get you to
something.
backpedal and say, oh, maybe it's not so bad, or
Correct.
maybe I'm overreacting.
Correct. And so I said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'll launch right in.
Oh God, I love you for saying that. That's so empowering. I'm
Now,
serious.
I have to be honest and say my heart was absolutely pounding out of my
Of
chest.
course.
But I had my questions typed out. Myself and Kira, who is my friend,
Nice.
had
Nice.
gotten together and prepared.
Mhm.
And whenever he tried to spin off into something else, I would say, apologies, I'm sorry, can we get back on track and get an answer? And then another thing I did that I read in an article recently and I want to share with all of you because this worked. um I made him, if he said something mean to me, I made him
Mhm.
repeat it, and it wasn't outwardly mean, it was that kind of secret mean.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I would say, I'm sorry, what did you say, can you repeat that? And
Uh-huh.
I would make him say it again. And what that does is it makes them really take in what they have said to you,
Yes.
and it makes other people hear it as well.
Uh-huh.
And they want to do these drive-by things so that you know it and they affect you, but others don't. That's it.
Right.
That is a power tactic. So when you make them repeat it over again, it shows that you know what they're doing. It shows everyone else what they're doing, and it makes them nervous.
I
So
love that.
so I did that, and then the name thing, I called him by first name, which I've said before. I would advise you to do that to your doctors.
Mhm.
Call your doctor by their first name. They're
Mhm.
they're a human just like you. They
Mhm.
just have different training, and
Mhm.
not all of them were A students. And you know your body. So, and then one more thing I'm trying to remember that I did. Oh, yes. So for example, when he said, I don't know, I would
Mhm.
say again, I'm sorry. So your answer to that question is, I don't know. And he would say, yes.
Oof.
And I would say, okay, who does know? What is their name? What is their email? And what is their phone number?
Hell yes.
And one time, because these people in particular are trying to hide their contact information besides email,
Mhm.
because email
Mhm.
is very easy to ignore,
Of course.
and they don't want people calling their offices. He said, well, he gave the name and the email. And then I said, and what is the phone number? Because he was going to gloss by.
Mhm.
And he said, well, they're not actually working in the Beaudry offices,
Okay.
and they don't really have. And I gave him a second to finish his sentence and to take in what exactly he was getting ready to say
Uh-huh.
to me. And I said, phones. They don't have phones.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
So he gave us a phone number. Now, I'm saying
Unreal.
all of this now on the other side, but in the moment I was petrified.
Of
And
course.
so because I am not a lawyer, I am not and also I'm aware the first thing I do when I get any of their names is Google them. I want to know who
Mhm.
they are and what they do. And I
Yes.
guarantee you, because I'm a thorn in their side, they've already Googled me. And they're like, this dumb clown, putty faced woman without a brain in her head is coming at me. I don't think so. And then I come in like Hulk smash. And they're not expecting it.
Okay. First of all, I am so freaking proud of you for all of this, okay? Because like I said, you are doing something for the sake of your family, but also for the sake of everyone else who's experiencing what you are. So I
Yeah.
commend you for that. Secondly, you did something that is so important, and I think so many people forget. You were prepared.
Yes.
So, as scary as it is, if I've done it so many times, if you didn't have that typed out list,
I would have
you
been
would have gotten off
lost.
track. You would have gotten, and I don't mean you, I mean any human.
Anyone.
You
Well,
get
and that was
flustered,
his
you
hope
forget the point. Yeah.
because he was trying to spin things in different directions. And I always had that document to go
Yep.
back to. And
It gets emotional, it gets
yes.
confusing, and
Mhm.
you can just keep, okay, as I had mentioned, may I have, and you
Yes.
just keep hammering down the points. It's so smart that you did that. Oh my
And
God.
then every time I deduced anything from his information that he was trying to be vague about, I would state
Mhm.
it out and I would say, okay, so I'm gathering from what you're saying that you are aware you're breaking the law. And
Oh God, that's brilliant.
he said, okay. And I said, is that the case, sir? You and the district know that you are in violation of the law and that the Department of Justice has opened up an investigation on you.
And what did he say?
I just stared at him until he had to say
Just
yes, because I wanted everyone on the call to
he
know.
said yes.
Yes, he said yes.
Oh
They
my
can't
God.
avoid it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And after I interrupted him and made him answer the questions. I called him out for not wanting to give me a phone number and I made him say that they all knew they were breaking the law. Then the parents launched in. It empowered them as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was
Then the
about
other
20
people
minutes,
spoke
and
up.
then all of the parents who were
Oh,
equally as on
yes.
top of it, they were
Mhm.
just nervous.
Of
Then
course.
they came the backup came in, and that felt nice.
Mhm. Looks
Yeah.
like you are a leader. Okay.
Don't say that, I am not. You guys know, you hear this kookaburra get on here and
No,
talk every
I'm
week.
so proud of you. Seriously, I don't mean to be corny by saying that. I always think like sometimes people feel that's weird if a friend's like, I'm proud of you, but I am. And it takes someone to have the courage to stand up. God, I have been there. And I look around, I remember and being in situations, I'm like, really cool. So no one else is going to say anything.
Yes.
It's like we
So,
all
I mean, that's
agreed.
the
And now that
message.
I've opened
Yes.
the can of worms, you guys are trying to stuff it back in because now it's getting too uncomfortable. It's like I don't like confrontation either,
No.
but we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Yes, and you need each other if you're gonna stand up against people. It's like I
Yes.
said, this man has been training to do this his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to support your people, and that doesn't you don't
Yes.
have to be as aggressive as Dana is. But once I said about, I told him this is not emotional for you, it's your job.
Mm-hmm.
There's an emotional element for each and every one of us, but that set aside, it's also illegal what
Yes.
you're doing. And once I said that, then they were like, yes, yes, yes. And they came on. And then I relaxed and was able to go after him even more. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be vocal. You can even just their head nods. And I 100% agree they would chime in. That kept me going.
100%.
So don't forget that when you need to support someone, it could even just be like a hand squeeze or a yes from the peanut gallery,
Mm-hmm.
to keep them going. So don't leave
Heck
your peoples
yeah.
hanging.
Really commend you for that.
Thank you. I credit it to some of this stuff that I've been learning, like
Yep.
how to stand up and like recognizing when you're being manipulated and someone's trying to
It's
confuse you and
awesome.
just going back to the point, back to the point.
Yep.
Don't let them get you in a fury because they're trained to stay calm and make you look nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I should probably keep this as my rant because I actually,
Okay.
I mean, I should honestly. I
It's
think that,
awesome.
and I also want to point out, obviously, I didn't go completely into what the situation is, but I think it's transferable to any situation. So, like,
Yes.
everybody knows that Jessica and I have been on our medical journey lately,
Mhm.
and my week last week was actually filled mostly with that. I had 5
Mhm.
doctor's appointments.
Truly.
And I have one more coming up tomorrow. They're going to see if I have plaque in my heart. It's all very scary. But so far, everything's great and certainly nothing permanent
Yay.
damage. Yeah, I'm really happy. But right now, I'm in a great situation doctor wise. But there have been times in my life where I needed to advocate for myself as a doctor. And we've talked about that many times on here. So
As
when
a patient.
correct. Yes. Sorry. So sorry.
Dana has enrolled in medical school.
Yeah.
That should come as no surprise.
And also, I'm a hireable advocate for doctors. If you
Mhm.
doctors need someone to no. So anyway, I just want to share these tools with people as I get them because, and you guys, please feel free to share
Mhm.
these tools with us too, because I think it's important for us to
Yes.
know how the man tries to
Mhm.
keep us down.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And we can help each other with these skills to keep going.
Absolutely.
And get on your doctor's appointments, everybody. Get on them.
That's a very important rant.
Yeah,
Man,
I know some of our listeners
that's
have kind of been on this journey with us.
yep.
So get on your doctor's appointments, speak up
Do
for
it.
yourself, advocate for your children and your families
Yep.
always.
Exactly.
I guess that we'll leave that as my rant.
I
My
love it.
rant originally was about pumpkin spice, which I am down to yell about anytime.
Well, we'll save that for our next recording.
Yeah, if it
I'm going to have a list to add to your rant about that because I'm
well,
done with that.
and just as a sneak peek, Jessica doesn't know this, but I'm also a little mad about all the dill pickle stuff coming out. We'll get to it. Well, I took some pictures last week while you were gone. Been holding those in my little cannon to go, what's happening? I feel like this is your fault, Jessica, you pickle lover.
Yep, we're gonna.
I love a pickle.
We're gonna have a battle of
We
pumpkin versus pickle next week. So you better fasten the hatches and settle down.
I love a
Strap
pickle.
yourself in.
I love a pickle, but I'll come at you real hard. I don't want no pickle hummus. Come on now.
Don't you'll get me too excitable. Oh my god.
Calm down, Grosso.
Okay. My rant, don't be disappointed, y'all. It's not a rant that's really a rave. It's a real rant. Now, is it as important as anything Dana has brought up today? Not in the least.
Doesn't matter.
Has it
Get
been
it out.
annoying and frustrating as hell? Yes, it has. Now, I will preface my rant with this because I think, again, I always feel like, why are we preaching to the choir? Our choir being our amazing listeners.
Our amazing listeners.
You guys all have respect. You guys are like-minded in our ways of thinking towards other humans and the world and being respectful and all of that jazz. Now, why am I saying that? I have never in my life noticed more places hiring from every single retail store I walk by, from low end to the highest end, even places you've never seen putting a sign in their window that they're hiring. Every place. I'm at least just speaking for Los Angeles and my travels around the county thus far in the last month.
Yeah.
Everywhere is looking for hiring employees. So again, from the food courts to fine dining, from the dollar store to places on Rodeo Drive, people are desperate for staff. The supply chain is really messed up. Okay. Like that's another whole thing that's going on right now because of the pandemic. However, I am ranting about this because this was a problem before COVID started. So now I'm real mad. my rant is stores showing that inventory is available and in stock, and then you get there and they don't have any left, or they never carried it in their stores to begin with.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I am going to give you some examples.
Okay.
Home Depot, a worldwide
Yeah.
corporation.
I would advise someone never to use the Home Depot website. I have gotten really
It's maddening.
I've got fingered up the butt with them 2 or 3 times.
That was a spit take.
I'm not kidding. And they're like, well, take it up with your credit card company. No
Mhm.
joke. And I'm like,
It's
what?
infuriating.
I never even received it. What do you mean take it up with my credit card company?
Right?
Yeah.
So with them, I looked. It shows as in store. There's sites that at least tell you now, like
Yes.
in store or delivery only, or it's like never available in stores, online only. Great.
Correct.
You want it, you can order it. And most stores now, nicely, if you're willing to drive to one of their locations, they'll ship it to the store for free instead of to your home. So
Yeah.
that may be an inconvenience, but whatever. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'll drive 10 minutes to Target to pick this up if they're
Save
gonna
myself
ship it
some
for
money.
free.
Yeah.
I needed a dang room divider for Zoom. Okay. I did not want people looking at my bed while I'm sitting at my desk, which is unfortunately located in my bedroom. Okay.
Right.
Even though I make my bed every day, I don't need coworkers or people in business or anything else looking at my, I don't have
the
like a cute bookshelf or something where I'm sitting at a staged place like all these people with their great Zoom backgrounds. That
Also,
is not me.
It's just weird too to think that people are seeing like your lay down place and
Yes, I don't want it.
and where the magic happens. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Spit take number 2.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Jessica?
Yes, I
Where
do.
you and Alan make magic.
Okay. Somebody is using innuendo to a new level. Oh my God.
Did I just force you to have to put drops in your eyes?
My eyes dried out because I opened them so wide.
So
It evaporated all of the moisture.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. I completely understand what you're saying.
I called them for the damn room divider, which also, by the way, is a cardboard box that someone has folded and put in the right proportions. There's nothing to it. It's not a hand-painted chinoiserie screen to you take off your robe and get sexy in a movie from the 30s, okay?
Right,
It's a
okay.
room divider. It's a piece of freaking cardboard. It's a giant, it's like a refrigerator box that someone put 4 creases in. They said they had it, and I called. I even, because of my luck with them in the past, not lucky at all, I called an hour later in the hopes of getting someone else to answer the phone, which they did.
And check.
First time I spoke to a woman, next time a man answered, just to make sure before I hike on down to this location. Do you have this? I read the SKU, everything. Yes, we do. I got there, looked around, went up and down every aisle of that place. Nothing there. Went crazy, asked multiple employees, where would I find this? Oh, over there by the doors. Another person said, oh, it would be over here by temporary blinds. I heard everything in the book.
Right.
My point is, they didn't have it. Now, to wrap up my rant, this happened again this week with my favorite store on the planet, Target. Okay. I love Target, like maybe too much. It is my favorite store on the planet. I was looking for glass.
Please sponsor us at Target.
Okay. I will happily design a line and you can license us, the Ransom Raid collection. Okay.
Yes.
So I found these amazing glass hurricane jars for a client, and the quality is great and the price was great, and they're hard to find. And again, because of the supply chain, normally I'd try to get it through a wholesaler. I'm like, don't have time. Holiday setup is upon us for retail. I'm getting these. Well, I kept looking up stores that had it, and I drove from location to location to location to location, and nobody had the dang jars, even though it was showing that on their website. So I was losing my mind. I am so infuriated. So again, I understand times are tough and things are weird, but my God, get your websites up to speed and please have someone that knows when somebody has the exact item name, the brand, and the SKU, if you
Mhm.
cannot tell me if your store has those at all right now, then we have a problem. Okay?
Yeah.
Rant over.
Oh my God. I was holding my breath because I thought you were going to punch the computer a few times. There was a lot of pointing going on.
A lot of pointing.
Yeah, that is aggravating though, because you drove all over Hill and Dale.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a worthy rant. What are you talking about? Because you know
know.
why, Jessica? I know it seems like, but that is your time, and your time is valuable, especially
Yes.
right now.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
mean, I spent hours driving around all over the valley to
Not to
different
mention,
Targets.
gas is like $25 a gallon in LA.
Okay.
Ugh. All my doctor's appointments, I'm like, geez, I almost have to ride my bike.
Yeah, for those of you who do not live in California, ready to make your head spin, the cheapest gas I'm finding lately, and we're talking about for the cheapest 87 octane
87, yeah.
unleaded, 450. That's the cheapest I've found.
Girl, let's talk offline. I'll tell you where to go. I don't want to send the world to my cheap place. Listen, if we're close and you need it, and you need an answer, DM me, but I ain't saying it to the world. I got you. I got you. I got you. Also, not for nothing, my girlfriend was telling me Costco, because I asked her.
Yeah,
I know that she has a Costco membership. I don't know if you do or not, but
I do. I always forget about them
Jessica,
for gas.
it must be the deal of the century because every single day there is a line out the
Yep.
entire, they have gigantic parking lots. It is
Yep.
out the parking lot, every lane,
Yeah, I
and
can't
down
handle
the
that.
road. But I drive by one all the time. That's not, well, it's kind of far for you. But anyway, I can tell you when the downtimes are because I don't have a Costco membership. But you could take advantage of that.
I'm gonna be honest. There's no way. I already, as much as I love Costco in theory, there's nowhere I can't stand going more than
Yeah.
Costco.
Right.
So no, that's
Okay.
the one thing where I'm gonna have to be like, I'm gonna pay more for gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would rather pay more for gas than deal with the people that wait 30 cars deep to
I
get
don't blame you.
it for
That's why
20
I
cents
haven't done
cheaper. I just
that.
can't do it.
That is my dad. I remember him saying to us all the time, like one of the special things I did with
Mhm.
my dad, it's late at night. He'd be like, I'm gonna drive downtown and check gas prices. You won't go? And I go, yeah. And we just ride all over town looking
To
for the
see.
cheapest gas.
Which ironically is wasting gas in the process of doing so.
That's what we would argue, but he would do the math. And I don't like math. So I just said, okay, I'll go. Like,
You know what? Look, there is something to be said about paying attention to that stuff. However, God bless, but our parents' generation learned this from their parents, and I get
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
their parents were Depression era.
Well, if I may step in, our young friend Kate, who
Uh-huh.
sometimes listens to half of the episodes, she does it. And I asked her specifically, I said, does it save you money when you think about the cost of the
Uh-huh.
membership and all that? She said her boyfriend worked it out and it does. So I was like, well, good on you. That is not a mental, I have to make a mental, not excuse. What's a positive spin? I have to choose my own
Mental note.
sanity. I have to
Yes.
choose my own sanity over the pennies I will save on gas.
Yeah. So there's that, but my dad would be the same as Gary. Trust me,
Yeah.
Mark and Gary are on the same page as that. Also, nothing incenses my father more than me putting too much postage on an envelope. Okay.
Really? Okay.
So
Yeah.
what I don't even know. I should know since the post office was like my happy place during the pandemic. I was there like once a week with my
Yeah.
lady who called me Madame. What is a stamp these days? 50 cents? Have we reached the threshold? I don't know. I think it's around 50
buy them by the
cents.
sheet. I don't know.
So let's say, like, I love those square cards that are
Mhm.
like a 4x4, but they require extra postage because they're an off
Odd
size
shape.
right?
Yeah,
Don't get me
which is
started. A
ridiculous.
longer
Yeah,
and bigger envelope, if it's a real rectangle, isn't more. I
I
can't.
know.
That's
It's
another
stupid.
rant, okay?
It is. Yes.
But my dad goes nuts. So, like, let's say the postage on the envelope, I'd ask them, I'd be like, how much is one of these cards? Like, oh, 65 cents. Great. So I'd slap on 2 of my 50-cent stamps and send it on its way.
Mhm, mhm.
You guys, I'm going to have to post some pictures, and I put an S on the end because I have photographed multiple examples of this. My father, when I tell you down to the last penny, and he is not a spendthrift by any means. My dad is not cheap in any way. But when it comes to postage,
Uh-huh.
down to the last penny, to the point where I have received legal size envelopes, which is just a normal envelope, like that a check or something could fit
Sure,
in, a
sure.
business envelope.
Uh-huh.
And so help me God, if there is not 20 stamps on that envelope, I'm like, I can't believe the post office delivered this. And he will put on like an old stamp when they were like 36
Yes,
cents.
yes.
Then he has a 5-cent old maybe postcard stamp, and then 18 1-cent stamps.
Mhm, mhm.
You have never seen anything like it. He's proud
I
of it. He laughs wildly when I call him about it, but then he sure isn't laughing if he gets a letter from
from
me
you.
and he pays that much attention that he's like, "A dollar? Why would she spend $1 on this? This would have been 68 cents."
Yeah. I feel like my dad has made me camp, to use a term from earlier, a little bit closer to your dad than you. It gets me aggravated too.
That's
I, I'm
hysterical.
probably not as diligent as your father, but yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm sorry, Jessica. I feel like I betrayed you.
Not at
My
all.
daddy carved a pumpkin last night for the first time in his life.
And it was really impressive.
It was
I
good,
can't
right?
carve like that. It was great.
It was like a skull with flames coming out of it. It
Yes.
was really cool. Uh, I didn't tell you, I sent you a picture of it from my sister's timeline because it was so cute, but I didn't
Yes.
tell you, she said, you know what he said about it, about
What?
pumpkin carving? It's awful.
He didn't like it.
He wasn't a fan, no.
Oh my god,
But he
that's
did very good
hysterical.
at it.
He was great. That's not easy to do that.
No,
Even with
pumpkin
those stencils, I've tried it.
it's not easy. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I do love having them, and then if I don't carve them, then I keep them to July, as I have done for the past 8 years in a
Um,
row.
I can attest to that because I saw one
Mhm.
at her house. Was it this summer?
Yes.
I don't know. I think it was
You
early
could probably
summer.
go to my Instagram and see because I took pictures of it. It's
And
true.
I was like, "Where did you get that pumpkin
Mm.
already?" And you're like,
No,
"Oh,
no.
this is from last fall."
Yeah, I had
But I
2 of
was
my
shocked that it
pumpkins.
was intact.
I had 2 of my pumpkins through July and bought
So
them in
incredible.
October.
Okay, it's cleansing breath time.
Yes, cleansing breath. I could use a life cleansing breath, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You guys just heard me die a little bit inside. Oh. All right, we like to take a cleansing breath when we rant
Mhm.
about things that are important, things that are not. We just like to get it out, have some sense of normalcy.
Yep.
You know what? Cleansing breaths really do make a big difference. I know
Yes.
it sounds cuckoo, like whatever, it works. If you're by yourself, I'd even recommend screaming it out if you can.
That's right.
It feels good. It's a
It also
release.
gets your heart rate to calm down if you're feeling really anxious or amped
Mm,
up.
always, I am.
Mhm.
Uh, so let's take a deep breath in and
Very nice.
yeah, that was nice.
Very
Let's
nice.
fill up with some funnies and some goodness.
Let's do it. You
Who's
are
up
up first for corners.
I am. Oh, fun.
Mhm.
I have to admit I'm not familiar with this corner yet. I didn't look at it. It's a surprise.
You're
It's a
gonna
nick
be really sad that, you didn't think of this yourself
I
since you've
am.
become quite the artiste. Mhm.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for giving me that label.
I mean it.
I mean, all I do, I can't draw. All I do is draw, paint, macrame, all
Yeah,
these things
all
that,
she does.
I
It's
mean,
great.
it is something. Anyway, I have an excuse me corner. Okay, artist pulls off the ultimate masterpiece. When I glanced at that at first, I thought it said artist pulls off the urine masterpiece. And I was
Oh,
upset for a second.
I'm gonna have to interject
Yeah.
since you said that.
Uh-huh.
Urine masterpiece. My university, the University of Alabama, made
Uh-huh.
famous for winning the most national championships of any school in the country. Also, unfortunately, made famous from when the governor in the 60s said that no Negroes were allowed on campus. And there was a
Ugh.
plaque, not obviously in a good way, but there was a plaque commemorating that on the exact building as a
Ugh.
reminder to folks that that happened and how messed up that is. My
Ew.
point of telling you, very diverse campus. I know that's surprising. People think the South, what? We had an incredible arts program, every
Okay.
gamut of the arts. Also, schools acquire certain things. I never even knew this.
Mm-hmm.
But while I was in school, my university purchased a piece of art. I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting that in quotes because
Mm-hmm.
it's not what you're thinking. It's not a canvas or a painting.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mason jar. Are you familiar with the work known as Piss Christ?
No, ma'am.
It's a mason jar that someone put a crucifix in and filled
Mm-mm.
with urine.
No, that's not art.
Yes,
No, I'm
that,
sorry.
yes,
And how much did they pay for this jar
a
of urine?
lot,
No,
a lot.
unacceptable. Send somebody to school.
100% unacceptable, but also 100% shocking at a school that was so deep rooted in old ideals and a lot of, I'm sorry, white Christian values and stuff like that. And no, I'm not knocking anyone who's white and Christian. Everybody calm down.
Right.
But it's a school that got real buttoned up. Okay. Our
I'm
department
sorry.
did.
I'm not that buttoned up, and I don't want to own a mason jar of piss.
I don't either. I am not a fan of most quote performance art or
Yeah.
things like that.
No, I only like, oh, replication. That's fun, and there's no body fluids,
I'm trying to quickly find it here. Piss Christ.
No.
Piece of art. It comes up right
No.
away.
Mm-mm.
Immersion, a 1987 photograph by the American artist. It depicts a small plastic crucifix submerged in a glass tank of the artist's urine.
No.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Wow.
So there you go.
I don't like that.
I don't either. I did not mean to digress, but man,
Well-
when you said urine masterpiece, I had to go there.
I don't blame you, because people should know that that school wasted that money on that instead of helping someone else get educated.
Exactly.
Oy, oy, oy. Danish artist takes museum's money and runs and calls it art. Art? And calls it the Ark of the Covenant. He opened it and everyone around him melted. No, this is by Spooky from my favorite, Oddity Central. Love it. A Danish museum loaned artist Jens Honning tens of thousands of dollars and asked him to recreate two of his most popular artworks, which involved the use of real banknotes. Only he took the money and ran. An act he describes as an original work of art. Now, speaking of spin artists, the Kunstmuseum of Modern Art in Aalborg asked Jens Honning to recreate two of his most popular artworks. One he had produced in 2011 called An Average Danish Annual Income, which featured Kronbank notes in a frame. And an earlier version, An Average Austrian Annual Income. For original works, Honning had borrowed the money from banks, but this time the museum agreed to loan him the cash from its limited reserves. He required 328,000 kroner for the Danish annual salary and 25,000. That's not pounds, is it? I don't know. It doesn't.
I don't know.
It's a lot for the Austrian salary he put. Only instead of recreating the artworks, he just sent the museum 2 empty canvases, and the message that him keeping the money they had lent him was the actual artwork. The work is that I've taken their money. That's his quote. The work is that I've taken their money. He told a radio program. It's not theft. It's a breach of contract, and a breach of contract is part of the work. No. This is another quote. Of course I will not pay it back, the artist added. The work is that I took the money and I will not give it back.
Unreal.
Lars Anderson, the director of Kunstmuseum, claims that a day before a new art exhibition was to open, Jens Honning had the commissioned artworks delivered. Only when the package was opened, it contained 2 just empty frames. He also bothered sending an email saying he thought it was more interesting to do a new work called Take the Money and Run.
Oh.
I absolutely want to give Jens the right to say that a new work has been created in its own right, which actually comments on the exhibition we have, but that is not the agreement we had. Adding that he does not intend to go to the police about this just yet, as the artist has until January 16th next year to return the money he was lent. Honning, on the other hand, has made it very clear he has no intentions of returning the money to the museum. Quote, "No, it's not going to happen. The work is that I've taken their money." That's unbelievable to me. That is not art. That's thievery.
Correct.
You agreed to give them a specific work of art. Mm-hmm. You are reneging on that contract and running with the money, and that is theft, a stealing, sir.
Yep.
You're not an artist.
If you wanted to do a piece of art called Whiteout,
different,
and you present it and then they choose to buy and or exhibit it, that's different. But yes, this is straight up thievery. And I'm sorry, breach of contract. I'm just thinking about things that we've had to sign over the years for NDAs and things with entertainment. Doesn't that mean you're accountable? Like when you are on a show, if you were to say, hey guys, check me out, look what's happening before it airs. And unless you're already like embedded in the show, even with that, they don't want you ever giving away any plot or stuff. Doesn't that mean they can come after you for money? Isn't that a breach of your contract? And you will be fined and you will be required to pay it.
And you'll never work again. And that's the thing with him. I'm like, dude, you ain't Banksy. I ain't never heard of you.
Okay.
So what is it? What kind of career do you think you're going to have after this? Because everyone is going to be terrified that at any point when you feel like it, you're going to be like, well, guess what? My art is I take your money. Or guess what? My art is I fart in your face. Oh, guess what? My art is I invite myself to your house and stalk you for 2 years. Art! No, I'm sorry, sir.
I know.
You're just a criminal. Is what you made yourself.
Crazy.
That's not art.
It's crazy.
If that's art, then Donald Trump is a fucking Van Gogh type artist because all he does is take money from people or not pay them for the services he agreed to.
I know.
And nobody ever convinced me that that man's an artist.
Okay.
Yes, both criminals. No, sir.
Since you mentioned Banksy, you want to talk about something that was, I mean,
when
you
he
may
shredded?
call it, yes. When somebody, that piece of art went up for auction at Sotheby's. I don't remember what it went for, but my God, it was a lot. And the minute it was like sold,
it was something like 1.7 million or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
The art then immediately went through a shredder in live time in front of everyone at the auction.
He had rigged the frame.
That was actually genius.
Except if you were the guy that paid for it.
But you know what? If I was the person that paid for it, I would then like pay to have somebody like painstakingly glue it,
put it back together. I'm sure they probably did, right? I don't know.
Or maybe he took those shreddings and put it in a lucite box up on a shelf.
All I know is this. You know who can have artwork? Museums. Everybody else, why don't you talk about feeding the children, giving the homeless some shoes, getting water to countries that don't have it, instead of you sitting in a fancy chair in some dark room with a smoking jacket looking at your pretty art.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Art is important, absolutely, but people are more important.
Let's keep the artwork to the broads who acquire new artwork 2 to 3 pieces every week.
Oh, wow.
Have you been to the Broad in downtown
No, I
LA?
have not, because when it first opened, it was so hard to get into, and
It
then it was
really
like
was.
pandemic time.
Okay, that's something that you got to see. It's
Yeah,
really, really, really cool.
I'm sure
And
it
very
is.
different because it's all modern, but they have like multiple works from Basquiat and Lichtenstein, like all these very famous Warhol. To see that all in person, it's like, what?
I house sat for some people that had a Liechtenstein, a Van Gogh, and
Oh,
a
God.
like a Monet, I think. It was the
What?
scariest thing I've ever done.
What?
Yeah, it was so
Oh
terrifying.
my God.
I would recommend not house sitting for people who have things like that, because you'll just live in fear every second you're there. I mean, at first it was like, oh
Unreal.
my God, this is amazing. And then instant fear.
Right. I would be the one who was like trying to get a selfie, like, look at me with what is that? I'm trying to think of any Monet. I don't know what they're called, like lily pads,
Yeah. Or in the park or
And
whatever.
I would manage to, because I am the world's biggest klutz, fall into
Yeah.
it, have it rip off the wall. Like
Yeah.
that would be my luck.
This is the same house I house sat at, where they had a really steep driveway and you couldn't see it when you were going down at first.
Oh.
And I just completely ran over an Amazon package, not knowing what was inside. Terrifying. That's the worst. That's the last time my house sat. Oh my
That
God.
is
Okay.
amazing.
That was a great corner. You sir are a thief and not
Okay.
trustworthy, and should
Right.
not be allowed to call yourself an artist. IMHO. In my very
Hilarious.
humble yet mouthy, I'm willing to give you that opinion.
Oh man. Okay, well this is a scientific discovery. This is a what the what?
All right.
Which kind of intersects with an animal instincts if you count fossils.
Okay.
This is brought to us from NPR by Deepa Shivaram. Scientists discover fossil of a four-legged whale with a raptor-like eating style.
What?
It's real creepy looking.
I need to see it.
I will send you a picture. Oh yeah, click the link and you will see the picture.
Okay.
So I always love how they like recreate stuff based on like putting the fossil, like then they try
Yes.
to imagine based on all these things what the proportions are and all that.
Yeah. Wait.
Mhm.
Shut up.
Right?
Just
It
because
looks like a weird, creepy hippo
it looks
or
like
something.
a very violent and sharp-toothed anteater underwater.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
I do not like it, and I love whales. We regret to inform you that your nightmares are about to get worse. A team led by Egyptian scientists have dug up a 43-million-year-old fossil in the Sahara Desert in Egypt of a now extinct amphibious four-legged whale. That's right, folks. A whale with legs.
Mm-mm.
The authors of the study say that this creature had unique features of the skull and that its mandibles suggest a capacity for more efficient oral mechanical processing. If that is not the fanciest way to title somebody who likes to eat, I don't know what is. Efficient oral mechanical processing. I'm going to adopt that for my own habit.
Right?
Jesus. In other words, these walking whales had a strong raptorial feeding style. We discovered how fierce and deadly its powerful I can't read today, y'all. We discovered how fierce and deadly its powerful jaws are capable of tearing a wide range of prey. This whale was a god of death to most of the animals that lived in its area, says Abdullah Gohar, one of the scientists. The new whale is called Phyomycetus anubis, which the scientists named in part after Anubis, the canine-headed Egyptian god associated with mummification and the afterlife. It was likely a top predator at the time, similar to what a killer whale is today.
No, I think it needs another name. I would call it
Okay.
I don't fucking think so, Oris. That's what I'm gonna call it. No.
Now,
Ain't
this
nobody
is
gonna
real.
be listening to the songs of that monster, I'll tell you that. 43 million years.
It's just mind blowing. Now, this is very interesting. It says whales, it turns out, used to be herbivorous, deer like terrestrial mammals.
So they were land and water,
I
obviously.
did
If it has
not
got
know
legs,
that.
if it has
Over the span of about 10 million years, whales turned into carnivorous creatures in the ocean. The discovery of the four-legged creature is part of that evolution. So, a whale with legs and a massive head with a vicious eating style. Good luck sleeping tonight.
good God.
That's so crazy.
I usually leave this stuff for the end when we say kind of what we're watching and stuff, but thanks, Gary Powell. He starts talking about this show that he started watching. And of course, I was like, I need to watch this. It's called
Mhm,
You'll Laugh. So, you know how we have street names and stuff in
mhm,
California that other people just can't pronounce.
mhm.
And only because we live here do we know how to
Sure.
pronounce them. So he goes, although this is a pretty big one. I'm not sure why, what he thought, but he goes, yeah, I've been watching this new show. I think it's called La Brea, something like that. So it's called La Brea, which is a major street in Hollywood. But anyway, it is a show. I can't remember Peacock. It's on NBC, but
Mhm.
they had the pilot on Hulu, and I thought the day after they would just start airing the episodes. Apparently not, because
Mm,
now I'm behind and I'm angry about it because I don't think I have Peacock. But anyway,
I don't either.
it's called La Brea, and sinkhole opens up in the middle of Los Angeles near the tar pits, and a bunch of people fall through and they think they're dead, but they've actually fallen through I don't know what. And when it opened up, these raptor-like creatures came into LA, and now these other people are trapped underneath. We don't know yet
Interesting.
if it's like some sort of portal wormhole type thing, or if there's actually a world inside our earth. Like, you don't know what
Ooh.
it is right now, but it's pretty good.
That's interesting. I actually heard about that show. And for those of you who are like, what the heck are you guys talking about? In Los Angeles, kind of in the center of the city, we have an area, it's a street and an area known as La Brea. And there's a big,
Mhm.
gigantic apartment and condo community called Park La Brea. But we
Mhm.
have the La Brea tar
Tar
pits,
pits.
which is where they found actual fossils of
They find
woolly
fossils
mammoths and
almost every
saber-toothed
day.
tigers. Yep.
Mhm. They still find fossils. It's some kind of bubbly tar that comes up from the ground.
Mhm. We
And
also have methane gas warnings in the malls in the area. Have you
oh,
ever
I didn't
noticed
know
that?
that.
At the Grove, there are little sensors up by exits and whatnot.
No.
And I
Oh.
remember because I used to work there sometimes when I was at Anthropology, and if they needed help, I would be sent to the store at the Grove. And I'm like, "What is that?" They're like, "Oh, those are the methane gas alarms." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah.
And they said, if it ever reaches a certain level, those alarms will go off and we'll need to
Because
evacuate.
because those tar pits are active. It still bubbles.
Yes,
It still bubbles, and you can
it's
go see it.
crazy. But it's a
Yeah.
really cool museum. I mean, it's cool for anyone, but I know anyone with children, especially young boys, are big fans of that La Brea
And
tar
you can go
pits.
through like that visitor center and watch the scientists pulling up fossils from it
Yep,
and dusting them and looking at it's a cool experience
it's
if you
really
ever
neat.
visit. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's right where it takes place. And I told my dad, I was like, I'm never watching that. Are you joking? I had recurring dreams as a child that I died in an earthquake in California, which is why I didn't ever want to move here, Dan Tipton.
Really?
Yes.
I
I
didn't
had to
know that.
really do a lot of work on training myself not to think that I was going to die in an earthquake because I was afraid I was going to like self prophesy.
Um, then I really hope and assume that you never went. I don't think it exists there anymore on the old ride at Universal Hollywood that was called Earthquake, where
No,
you're
no, no,
on the
no,
LA
no.
subway and they
Uh,
simulate what would happen if an earthquake happened while you
oh,
were in the subway
w-
underground?
well, in the tour, you are in a car and there's an earthquake, and you're in a parking garage and it collapses, and a subway, like a metro train, comes at you and stuff. But you're in a little tram.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I
Yeah,
love
it's
to
not great,
reinvent.
but we
My
all
memory
do.
serves that I thought I was trapped and it was a little too real. So,
It is very real.
uh-huh.
But what I won't do, what I've never done, and I think it would be a little too traumatic for me, are those earthquake trucks that simulate like a 7.8.
Nope.
I can't do it.
Me
I
neither.
can't do it. This show is a little bit for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
But anyway,
God.
La Brea, if you guys are interested, it's actually pretty good. I'm
Mhm.
enjoying it. I don't
Yep.
often get into a lot of regular network shows
Right?
just because I don't know why. I don't know. I'm just not into it. But anyway, that one's pretty good, and I'm gonna have to try and figure out how I can get some more
Mhm.
episodes.
Yes.
Ooh, way.
Yes. Oh, by the way, really quick, this isn't consequential necessarily, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I did have some exciting stuff for us to share with you guys. Quite a few things from listeners, but by the time you guys hear this, hopefully it will be fixed. But as of right now, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp are down.
Yeah.
So we could not access any of that stuff. And we had an amazing corrections corner. And we have some
no.
other things that we will be bringing to you next week. So rest
Okay.
assured. I mean, we always say this, but if you mail something in, we use everything that you guys send.
Yeah.
Even a few people I know we replied to saying, "Oh, this is awesome. We're going to use it in this week's episode." We just can't because we can't access it currently.
Gotcha.
But be on the lookout for a great corrections corner next
Oh,
week.
I'm excited. Should we go ahead and move into our raves?
Let's do it.
I'm super excited about my rave. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. My rave this week is for bookshop.org. You should definitely look them up. Bookshop is an online bookstore with a mission to financially support local independent bookstores.
Here.
Yes, we believe that bookstores are essential to a healthy culture. Indeed. They're where authors can connect with readers, where we discover new writers, where children get hooked on the thrill of reading that can last a lifetime. They're also anchors for our downtowns and communities. As more and more people buy their books online, we wanted to create an easy, convenient way for you to get your books and support bookstores at the same time, which is so amazing because I am guilty too. Amazon is just so easy. Audible allows me to do dishes and read, quote unquote read. But that's dangerous. I'm not a huge fan of Amazon, so it kind of eats at my soul.
Yes.
Anyway, let's see. If you want to find a specific local bookstore to support, find them on our map, and we'll put all this information in our links. Find them on our map, and they'll receive the full profit of your order. Otherwise, your order will contribute to an earnings pool that will be evenly distributed among independent bookstores, even those that don't use Bookshop. Amazing.
Wow.
We also support anyone who advocates for books through our affiliate program, which pays a 10% commission on every sale and gives a matching 10% to independent bookstores. If you are an author, a website or magazine, have a book club, an organization that wants to recommend books, or even just a book lover with an Instagram feed, you can sign up to be an affiliate, start your own shop, and be rewarded for your advocacy of books. Love it. Bookshop wants to give back to everyone who promotes books, authors, and independent bookstores. By design, we give away over 75% of our profit margin to stores, publications, authors, and others who make up the thriving inspirational culture around books. We hope that Bookshop can help strengthen the fragile ecosystem and margins around book selling and keep local bookstores an integral part of our culture and communities. Bookshop is a benefit corporation, a corporation dedicated to the public good. I really do love that. And check out their website if you get a chance. I looked at it. It's amazing because bookshops are in danger. Amazon is
Yes.
putting them out of business. And I'm telling you, one of my favorite places to go ever for just me is a bookstore.
Me too.
I
I
find
love it.
books I find books I would have never thought to look for.
Yep.
I find books recommended by other people, which means they think differently than me, which means I'm going to grow and learn.
Yes.
I find little gifts and stuff you can't find anywhere
Yep.
else. I mean, it's a land of magic, a bookstore. It
It
really is.
really is. It's my favorite gift to give for all ages is books. I actually did that one year for my family. I sent every single person a book, but I sent them all a different book that was fitting to their
Yes.
personality.
Yes.
And everybody loved it. Like, what a gem. Whenever
Yeah.
someone has kids, I'm the lady who gives books to
Yeah.
your baby, even if
Yeah.
it's one that they can't read till they're like 10 years old. I'm
Yep.
like, this is an important, beautiful book, and your child needs to have it.
Totally. Absolutely.
But you're right. You can get lost in it. Have you been to the last bookstore
Oh,
downtown?
one of my favorite places to go. I
Magical.
actually make it a point to go down to the last bookstore at
Mhm.
least once or twice a year,
Yep.
specifically, like to just walk around and get
Yes.
lost in that environment. It's
Yep.
this 2-story giant building downtown. There are sculptures made of books. There are
Mhm.
artists who are showing off all of their artwork in booths up in that top floor.
Yep. Which
There
is so cool.
It's just amazing. There's a special room that has, like, rare and unusual books,
Mhm.
but some of them are just, like, weird stuff only you would see in Hollywood. Like, one time I bought my sister, you know how during the Emmys and stuff, we in the business get all that stuff that's, like, promoting things so you'll vote
Mhm.
for awards and stuff?
Mhm.
Somebody had gotten one of those for the last Harry Potter movie, and it
Mm.
was signed by the director, Harry Potter, and Ron Weasley in a silver marker. And
Wow.
those pamphlets are beautiful. They're
Mhm.
professionally photographed from the set, all these things. And I bought that thing for $20 for my little sister. I
How
mean, where are
cool.
you going to find that ever again?
You aren't.
You aren't.
And they have a book maze upstairs, if you
Yes.
will.
Mhm.
And all of the books in that section are $1.
Mhm. Mhm.
So even if you just wanted pretty books, I know that seems weird, but it's
Not to
not. And
me, I don't.
I use them all the time just to decorate people's shelves. You
Mhm.
can go and get a slew of books for $20.
Yeah.
Okay. To
Yeah.
fill up your shelves with this beautiful old linen book covers. You take off the dust jacket and
Yep.
reveal the gorgeous colors. They're amazing.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
some really cool books. Sometimes I'm up there and I'm like, what the heck is this book about? And it's amazing.
It's
Again, like you
amazing.
said, something you would have never thought about or looked for. I will tell
Well,
you something really cool. I don't want to
no,
interrupt.
go
Go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
So we have a Barnes and Noble left on Ventura Boulevard. It's
Correct.
called
Yeah.
Bookstar,
Bookstar. Mhm.
but it is actually Barnes and Noble. I frequent them a lot. They're great. I know they're a corporation. I still love them, and it's
Mhm.
books. I'm always into
Yeah.
sport books.
Mhm.
They have something there that I absolutely love, and it's called Blind Date.
Mm.
And they have a table where they wrap books, and you are buying a book that you don't know that is recommended by their staff. So, like
Oh.
the 20 employees, I like right now, if I was working there, I would make my book be The Soul of an Octopus, right?
Right,
The most
right.
recent book I'm reading.
Uh-huh.
You buy it and it's called Blind Date with a Book. So you open it and then read the book. I know people that have bought that for friends as a gift and
Mhm.
loved it, or like a couple that bought it for each other. I think it's such a fun idea.
It
Again, just
is.
to grab something that maybe is not in your wheelhouse and it might introduce you to a new author or a new style of literature that you're not used to.
Totally. Yep, that you
It's
wouldn't go
really
to on
fun.
your own. That
And
is
they have the
super
staff
cool.
picks
I
on the
love the
end
staff
caps.
picks.
Me too.
Always. Yeah,
Yep.
because they're not always necessarily the most popular thing on book
Exactly.
lists right now, but it's something that really resonated with a person, and
Yep.
that's always powerful to me too.
hmm
I also just like the idea that, there's a quote on their website that says, "Thanks to Bookshop, there's no reason to buy books on Amazon anymore." And listen, I am aware that I'm an Amazon whore. I don't like it. It does eat my soul. I try my hardest to support local bookstores because, Bezos pays less taxes than we do, so let's not help that dude out so that he can get on his cock and balls rocket up to Mars. Like, I'm not interested in you, you evil person. Okay. This on their website, I just wanted to say real quick before we move on. So far, they have raised $16,202,886.32 for local bookstores, and that number has gone up since I started reading this rave.
That's
so
huge.
That's pretty amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Bookshop.org.
Keep the books alive.
Keep them alive. And also, I love that they said right there on the website, we're always talking about, well, I'm just one person, I don't have a voice. They said if you have a book club, if you have an Instagram account, you can be involved. So shout out to bookshop.org. Thank you for what you're doing.
Indeed. I love it.
Love it.
All righty. To wrap us up, this is a rave that actually, while I was driving with Alan recently, I was like, I'm like, text me that right now. I do that to him all the time if I'm driving because I can't touch my phone. He's like, what? I'm like, can you please text me? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, don't worry about what it means. Just do it. I'll know what it is.
Right.
So we saw this billboard and I was like, wait a minute, that looks so neat. And I'm like, is that what you and I were talking about as far as a wildlife crossing? So this is SaveLACougars.org. So
as in older
cougars,
women who want to sexually eat young men alive?
No, that is the another name for mountain lion.
I see.
So to tell you, now we did just miss this, but I'm sure they might have something when you go to the site. I know through August 31st, they had a way to adopt a cougar, and $5 from every mountain lion adoption will go toward the National Wildlife Federation Save LA Cougars campaign. So what this organization does. Okay, so again, they're everywhere, but like in LA, we have actually in Southern California in general, we have quite a large cougar / mountain lion population. And also something that's very unfortunate. I see this a lot on Nextdoor and sites like that. People are begging people to stop putting out any kind of rodent or rat poison. There are other ways to do that are far more ethical and humane. But even if you're like, I don't care, or it's a rat, or they're a nuisance, or whatever, the problem is our wildlife eats rats. Okay. So like owls, they're, I think, the best natural predator to take out rat population. So anything that's eating the rats, including cougars, they are large cats, they are eating these rats. And if the rats have been poisoned, the animals that are eating them are now being poisoned and are dying.
Yeah.
So it's become a huge problem. So I don't mean to digress, but they are an integral part of our ecosystem.
Yes.
So SaveLACougars.org. It takes a village to save our local cougars and to build the largest wildlife crossing in the world. The wildlife crossing at Liberty Canyon is a large-scale public-private partnership with a core project team involving the Liberty Wildlife Corridor partners, Caltrans, that's like our transportation system within California, the National Park Service, the Santa Monica Mountain Conservatory, Mountain Recreation and Conservation Authority, the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains, and the National Wildlife Federation, along with local and state elected officials. The Save LA Cougars campaign, which supports the conservation, education, and fundraising for the project, is a collaborative effort, blah, blah, blah. I won't bore you with all of these details. Let me tell you what they are trying to build here, because we did recently see a show about this on the news. Sadly, like many of the area mountain lions, a specific mountain lion that they had tagged and tracked for years died.
Yes.
Because he was hit by a car on a busy freeway.
Yes.
So it says 2 decades of study by the National Park Service in the LA area has shown roads and development are not only proving deadly for animals trying to cross, but have also created islands of habitat that can genetically isolate all wildlife, from bobcats to birds to lizards. The
Mm.
species most immediately at risk, the mountain lion, could vanish from the area in less than 50 years. Of all the area
Wow.
roads, multiple research and planning efforts have identified the 101 freeway as the most significant barrier to the ecological health of the region and a possible extinction vortex.
Whoa.
So it's really weird to believe, but I will post a picture of this. They have done a rendering of what the wildlife crossing at Liberty Canyon will look like. And it is literally a bridge for the animals to cross that will be covered with grass and trees. It will look just like the surrounding area, but it will go over the highway. I also was like, what? It's not like we can tell the animals, hey, if you want to cross, go to exit 49 on the 101 north.
Right, right.
And Alan was laughing at me. He's like, fool, they've been researching this for decades and they have realized that most of the crossings are happening at this specific area for whatever reason. But the point is, these animals are trying to cross
Yes.
highways and
Yeah.
they can't do that,
No.
especially not in a place like here where there's cars running all the time. So it's really amazing when you see this drawing, and it will allow for them to physically be crossing over the highway
Mhm.
without putting them in any danger and not disrupting the flow of traffic. The cars will stay exactly as they are at the main level. This bridge, if you will, covered by, again, land and terrain, will
Mhm.
be over the highway. So it's
Wow.
really, really cool. You can read all about this. I love watching and reading about them tracking these cougars. It's really fascinating what they're learning about them and about our ecosystem by being able to track some of these. And they go quite a distance. You would not believe how far across this county these animals are going. So
Wow.
they're very important. SaveLACougars.org. Really cool, long-winded explanation from me. We all know I cannot be succinct, so
No,
pardon
it's interesting to
that.
me. There is like there's a big I took my son to something. I want to say it was the Natural History Museum.
Maybe.
Had a big display room talking
Mhm.
about this specifically and talking specifically about
Oh,
that cougar.
interesting. He
And
was
it
like
was
P22 or something like
correct.
that.
Yes,
Mhm.
and they have tracked him for years and you could see everything. It was fascinating. You might wanna go visit that, Jessica. You might
Yeah,
find it really interesting. It was fascinating.
I love
We
that.
really enjoyed it. There were some other cool things in that room too about our
Mhm.
area, that specific area, and what other
Yeah,
wildlife is there and how to help protect them and stuff. It was fascinating, but
very cool.
all of our animals are important.
That's right.
They really are.
Mhm.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Jessica,
Dana,
I think that's our show.
I think it
You
is.
wanna tell people how to get a hold of us?
Yes, please send us your emails at the Rants and Raves podcast at gmail.com. You can also do that through our contact button on our website, www.therantsandravespodcast.com. Also, it is a modern age and a modern era. Most of you get in touch with us through Instagram. That seems to be our most popular platform.
On most days. Not
We will
today.
get it eventually, but today we
Yes.
can't see it. Maybe it's changed since we've been recording. But on Instagram and Facebook, you can find us at the Rants and Raves Podcast. On Twitter, we are at raves_the. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for your listenership. Thank
Mhm.
you for your loyalty. Thank you for your fun anecdotes and
Mhm.
for sharing things with us. And again, we are constantly amazed at the good things that you guys bring to us and the fun, weird, and unknown that we weren't aware of that you guys sometimes bring to our attention. So keep it
Absolutely.
coming. We
Always.
love it.
Love it.
We have a lot of new listeners who have been writing in that said they are catching up on episodes. They've started from the beginning. So
Oh, nice.
welcome.
Welcome.
And yeah, we love it and appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I usually like to end the show. Well, we like to share new things that we're interested in or that someone has told us about. Do you have anything new at the moment?
I can't believe that I did not text you this after I finished each episode, but on your recommendation, Alan and I fell down the Lula Rich rabbit hole.
Sorry about it. Fascinating, right?
I can't believe it. And it just went to some places where I was like, I'm sorry, what?
What? I know.
And I'm still just blown away that that company got so big that they were able to do something like privately hire Katy Perry for a concert.
Uh-huh.
But I forget that when people have money, you can, I mean, there are rich Russian, I almost called them czars. But I remember like there was someone in Russia who paid like over $1 million to, I think, hire J-Lo years ago for their daughter's Sweet 16.
No, unacceptable.
It's crazy. So yes, money talks. If you can meet the price, you too can have a private concert with an A-list celebrity. Yeah, wow, that was a real eye opener.
What a roller coaster, huh?
Then, really quick, even funnier, I told a friend, you need to watch it. She started laughing. She goes, I have a pair of those pants. I said, no, ma'am. She goes, I didn't even know what it was. I'd never heard of it. She's a teacher. She said, one of my parents gave me a gift basket and it had a pair of these leggings. And I'm going to tell you right now. I said, don't say it. She goes, they're the softest.
Yeah, that's what everybody said, isn't it? That's what everybody said until they started cheaping out on their product.
They did, but I have to tell you,
it outdoors in a parking lot
to me.
Soft.
I had to concur. It feels like if someone made cashmere velvet out of a chinchilla or something. I don't know what the heck artificial materials they used, but now, again, I kind of see, I don't agree with it, but now I'm like, well, these people aren't just crazy. They wanted that soft.
Well, let me tell you how you can get it. You want to know? I got a secret for you. It's on my body. You want to hear it? Okay, I'm a model for you for 1 second. I'm gonna stand up so you can see my round body.
Shut it.
Okay. See these camouflage pants?
Yes.
Okay, camo knit little baggy little pants.
Don't $3.
$3 from Family Dollar. Go get you some.
Oh, okay.
They're my favorite pants right now. $3. Family Dollar store.
Love it.
Yeah. Not even in California.
$3, and you don't have to buy in $5,000 worth of money that you and I do not have currently.
I feel like I got my money's worth before I even walked out of the store.
Yeah.
Because of the joy it brought me. I was like, this is so soft. And I thought to myself, I'm going to wash them twice and they're going to be all balled up. They're going to be falling apart. Nope. Wear them all the time. All the time.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, but watch that, Lula Rich. Don't get in on that.
Okay.
That was crazy. Did you end up doing Kings of Pain? That's another one I told you about. Did I tell you about it?
I don't think
it's on Hulu. These guys, they say they're doing it for science. That's up for debate. They travel to different places and they are making a pain scale for different bites and stings.
Oh, yes, we have talked about it. And yes, I have seen it.
Yeah. Ooh,
that's insanity.
It is insanity. Also, I started, I can't remember if it's on HBO or Amazon, but The Devil You Know. So it's the first season is one case, the second season's another case. It's fascinating if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Wow.
I also was listening to a podcast and it's one of my regulars, but at the moment I can't remember the name of it. I apologize, but it was about Ted Bundy, which we're all sick of, I know. But some of the information that we have come to know in society as truth that is maybe not.
Oh.
Like everybody always said, he always said he had a wonderful childhood, his grandparents were lovely. Not the case.
Interesting.
And then also some information about the handle of the car being broken so that women couldn't get out when he got them in, and
Oh,
that's
God.
may not be possible. It was just interesting. And the same kind of thing, I watched another show about oh my God, Roman emperor that everybody thinks is such a beast.
Julius Caesar.
Well, I know there's so
Just
many to
kidding.
choose from. No, the one that like people are like, he served somebody their family. How am I forgetting this?
I wish
He's like
Alan was
one of the
here. He
most
would
famous.
shout it out. I
You
don't
would,
know who you're talking about.
oh my God, I'm so dumb.
Caligula.
Yeah, no, but somebody on that level. Anyway, bunch of untruths about him too.
Wow.
Interesting. It makes me wonder what kind of monster I'll be painted to in history.
Oh dear.
So my point to ponder this week, I had some interesting stuff that's all in my Instagram, which
Yeah.
is down. You know, the world is going crazy right now.
Yes.
So I'm actually just going to read you something. It's from, I guess the quote is from Brené Brown, but a friend sent it to me. And I think it's powerful wording. So I just want to leave you guys with this week. We'll be back next Tuesday. Jessica, I enjoy you as always. You've been absent from my life a lot lately.
I know.
It's disturbing.
That's why people don't understand. We need like hours of catch up before we even get to the recording part.
And we haven't even gotten to do that.
I know.
So I'm going to leave everybody with this because I think it's important to remember and to maybe just write it down somewhere and carry it in your wallet so you see it every once in a while. Let go of who you think you are supposed to be and just be who you are.
Such simple words, but man, that's hard to do.
Hard action. Yeah. But you are enough just as you are.
I think if you can actually accept that and like not just for a day or when we're feeling good, because I know
I think it's a constant work, don't you? Yeah.
Because I have days where I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling great. And it's like you feel like you're on top of the world.
Totally.
And one thing can then make me feel like the entire world is doom and gloom when it's not true. It's just like my feelings are hurt or I'm upset or disappointed or something inconvenient happens. But yes.
Which honestly is why we created this platform and we want you guys to use it, because I would imagine if you talk to anyone who's written into us and let us just rant this stuff out for you, it is cathartic that someone's on your side. Or even if they're not on your side, they're talking about it and somebody will be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we are here for you. Like this is therapeutic to listen to a couple of crazy people cheer you on and say, I hear you. Right.
That's right.
But I think society puts so many expectations on us. We all have ideas of where we'll be by a certain age. I just had a birthday and I am not where I want to be. I was a guest on a podcast called We Didn't Peak Yet. And when that was last week, you can find it. You can find it on all platforms if you want to listen to it. It's a little bit of a vulnerable interview about what I do for a living. But I just was like, I said to the guy who hosts it, my friend Chance, I said, it's possible I have peaked. So I'm not sure that I'm the best guest, but you know, we do. We all have these expectations of where we thought we'd be, you know, comparing ourselves to others, even though we know comparison is the thief of joy. It's hard to do those things, which is why I said, maybe write it down and stick it in your wallet.
That's right. It's a great idea.
But for today, y'all heard me say it. I love you, Jessica.
I love you too.
We're getting out of here, y'all.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week. All right. Bye.
Now that was in unison.
Was it? We'll see. Bye.
Bye-bye.